Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rice Centennial Celebration. You're invited to direct your attention to the center of the quadrangle for the placing of the wreath on the tomb of William Marsh Rice, during which the traditional hymn, Veni Creator Spiritus, will be sung, and after which the academic procession will begin.
Veni Creator Spiritus, mente tuorum visita, imne superna gratia, quae tu creasti pectora. Gaudiorum premia, da gratiorum munera, ti solelitis vincula, ad stringe pacis fodera.
Please be seated. Good morning and welcome to Rice University's Centennial Celebration. Good morning. On this fair day, we gather in exactly the same place that founding President Edgar Odell Lovett, Board Chairman Captain James A. Baker, faculty, students, and dignitaries from Houston and all over the world came together here exactly 100 years ago to announce the official opening of the Rice Institute. Today, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I am pleased to welcome Rice University's distinguished guests from around the world, including United States Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, Harris County Judge Ed Emmett, the Rector of the University of Bologna, Dr. Ivano Dionigi, and the President of Princeton University, Shirley Tillman. We are happy to have amongst us past Presidents George Rupp and Malcolm Gillis, and past board chairs Charles Duncan and Bill Barnett. We also, seated among the delegates and other guests, are the presidents of Koç University in Turkey, Jakobs University Bremen in Germany, and Tianjin University in China. We also have delegates with us from Brazil, Mexico, India, the United Kingdom, many from Texas, and the rest of the United States. We also welcome from Rice University students, faculty, students. Faculty, staff, and alumni. And we have a special welcome for those of you who live in the city of Houston, the city that has nurtured us at Rice, has supported us and cheered us on all along the way, and made it possible for Rice to be the place it is. The opening of Rice Institute took place on the anniversary of the day that Christopher Columbus first laid eyes on the Americas. We too gather on that anniversary with our eyes set not only on the future with great expectation, but looking back at the past of our founding with great admiration. Today we remember not only Dr. Lovett and all the founders of this university, but so many people that have gone over the last century and made such a difference with their leadership, their scholarship, and their philanthropy that has made Rice what it is today. Our ceremony this morning reflects many aspects of Rice University. Before the president of the university speaks, we will hear from a representative of government. This is because government at all levels makes such a difference in the mission of education and research. We will receive greetings from representatives of the faculty, the staff, students, alumni, and our international academic community. This will help us appreciate how each of these groups work to make Rice the distinctive research institution that it is today with impact all around the world. So, again, welcome to Rice's centennial celebration. I now would like to invite the Reverend Dr. George G. Moore, a Rice alumnus, to give the invocation.
Let us pray. O God, whose name is hidden behind all names, given by humans to your infinite glory. Your children have come to know you as the source of wisdom, love, and mercy. Keep our eyes open to your justice so that we might live lives of passion, care, and respect. We assemble on this day in gratitude for the opening of the Rice Institute 100 years ago, and we give you thanks that James A. Baker fulfilled the testament of William Marsh Rice, that literature, science, and art be advanced through a school which would enrich the world. And we honor the legacy of Edgar Odell Lovett, who was called to flesh out this vision of a university conceived to be of the highest grade, committed to reason, beauty, and humanity. We give you thanks for the students, alumni, professors, administrators, staff, and friends whose work and ethic, along with their support of this great school, has brought us to this happy day. We honor those who stand here today in witness of the love of learning, and we hallow the memory of those who have gone before us in this moment of silence. And now, O God, we pray that the freedom of learning in which this university was formed will continue to be the foundation for its future. Fulfill your will through all who work to break the chains of religious, political, or ideological restraints. Grant success to those dedicated to liberty, equity, and the common good. We ask you to enlarge our grasp of the truth through the wisdom of letters, the beauty of the arts, and the knowledge of your created order. May your truth take hold of us, lifting us to the knowledge that we belong in this world and are entrusted with its care. Grant us the humility and reverence appropriate to that end. Now whisper upon us your benediction, that we may know the peace that accompanies your promise that all peoples will be blessed. Empower the efforts of Rice University to be a laboratory where people of every creed and every race and every status work together for the good of others, for the satisfaction of high accomplishment, and for the enjoyment of your mysterious presence in all that is. Amen.
Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison needs no real introduction to this audience. She has served the state of Texas in the United States Senate since 1993 and is the first and only woman to have held that position. She has worked tirelessly for the benefit of our state and our city. Perhaps just as importantly, Senator Hutchison represents us the way most of us would like to be seen. She is fiercely proud of her Texas heritage, but she demonstrates humility and calm. She fights for her belief, but understands that collaboration is essential. She is pragmatic, but understands the long-term value of investment in people and technology. Because of her seniority and great respect that she holds with her congressional colleagues, she has been very influential on education and research in our state. As examples of establishing the Texas Academy of Medicine, Engineering, and Technology, her longtime support of the Johnson Space Center and its related partners, she has shown herself to be a great champion of science, of research and development, and of having a good, viable technology agenda for our country. Senator Hutchison has been a great friend of Rice. She talks of us often in Texas and in Washington, making sure that this, our country's third coast, is in the discussion when we're talking about the great nations of our university. Most recently, she was instrumental in passing a resolution in the United States Senate that is in your books, if you'd care to refer to that. We are so grateful to the senator for all she has done for us in the past and in the Senate, and we are really hopeful that she will continue to be, and we're sure she will continue to be our friend after she leaves the Senate in January. On the occasion of Rice's 100th birthday, help me welcome Senator Hutchison to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. And Jim, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And Dr. Leebron, I have so enjoyed working with you and seeing what you have done with this 100th year. You've done a great job. I'm so happy to be here because I want to celebrate what Rice University has meant, not only to Houston and Texas, but to America and the world. Senator Cornyn and I passed a resolution, Senate Resolution 512, recognizing the 100th year of Rice University this year. The resolution mentioned all the things that Rice has significantly given to the world: academic achievements, financial aid to a degree that most universities have never reached, and its top-ranked status. I was very disappointed. I told my staff, you didn't mention one of Rice's preeminent achievements in 2003, winning the World Series of Baseball. Nor did they mention that I called Wayne Graham every night of that series and talked to him about the game that I had watched on television. I became the biggest fan of Rice baseball in the whole United States, I'm sure, and Wayne Graham thought so too. Rice has been unique from its beginning. Its focus on quality, not quantity. It is the place where President Kennedy gave his major speech on America's commitment to space, the race in space, and why we were doing it. It is the place that opened the first Department of Space Physics. And it is the place where, in room 337 of the Space Science Building, the buckyball brought a revolution to science and 2 Nobel Prizes to Rice University. And even more significant to me is where Dr. Smalley and Dr. Curl spent their first day as Nobel laureates. Not in a laboratory somewhere, but teaching freshman chemistry right here at Rice University. My personal view of Rice's mark on our state and nation is something I want to share with you today, because one of my priorities as a United States Senator has been to build our academic research base. Over 5 years, the presidents and chancellors of our major research universities met in Washington at my request, where I brought in the heads of all of the major research departments of the federal government so that our best and brightest could learn what the priorities were and see where we fit into that mold. At one of these meetings, the provost of Rice University, Neil Lane, said, you know, this is great, but if we're going to really collaborate and learn what others are doing in other parts of the state, we need a place to learn and build on the strength that we have. Dr. Lane said we needed an organization of some kind. So in 2004, I made 2 telephone calls. I called Richard Smalley, and I called Dr. Michael Brown, the Nobel laureate at UT Southwestern in Dallas. And I said, I want you two to lead the formation of the Texas Academy of Medicine, Engineering, and Science, a vehicle for us to collaborate and grow in our research. Smalley said, I hate organizations. I hate meetings, but I love this, and I'll do it. And when I called Michael Brown and I said, Richard Smalley has reluctantly agreed to be the chair of this organization, he said, oh my gosh, I've been dying to meet Richard Smalley for so long. And I knew we had a nugget. The sole criteria for membership in this academy is that you have been elected by your peers to the National Academy of Science, Engineering, or Medicine. And I want to say that Dr. Malcolm Gillis was one of the linchpins that he was on the organizing board and helped us make the decisions that would assure that this academy would be successful. And I thank Malcolm Gillis and I thank David Leebron for continuing Rice's leadership in our academic research priorities. Thank you, Rice University. I'll just go on to say that Rice's Nobelist, Bob Curl, Richard Tapia, a National Medal of Science recipient, and Dr. Baruch Brody have all served on TAMIS board. So we think Rice is practically the faculty lounge for TAMIS. Since World War II, more than half of U.S. economic growth can be attributed to technological innovation. World-class institutions like this one bring new technology and research to foster new business and create jobs. When President Kennedy spoke at a college noted for knowledge, in a city of progress, in a state noted for strength, he said, "We do not do these things because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills." Rice's leaders have shot for the moon and landed. Thank you for taking all of us along with you. I congratulate you. This is a treasure for our state and nation, and I'm very proud to be a part of this great celebration. Thank you.
I know I speak for the whole Rice community and the Houstonians here today to say how great it is to have a representative in Washington, and to have had a representative in Washington who really knows her stuff. She studied her constituencies, she studied the institutions she represents, she's really knowledgeable, and she just emphasized that today. So thank you, Senator, very much. One of the most important responsibilities that a university board has is selecting the president. A presidential search is always that moment when a university has to decide what its purposes and what its missions really are. And they've got to reflect that in the search for a president. Can you imagine if our first board had not set out to find someone like Edgar Odell Lovett? Oh. Excuse me. Hold that place. This is beginning out. No. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were going to finish so early.
Good morning. My name is Angela Jane.
And I'm Anna Sakin.
Thank you for inviting us to speak at this momentous occasion.
As Student Association and Graduate Student Association presidents, we have the honor of representing the student voice to congratulate Rice University on its centennial.
We can only imagine what the first 77 students felt when they stepped onto campus, with the hope and the promise that when they emerged from the hedges, they would change the world for the better.
From the first days at Rice,
to the first degrees awarded,
from the first beer bike,
to baseball championships and volleyball victories,
from the first issue of The Thresher, now an award-winning publication,
to the founding of the first residential colleges that over the years have steadily increased from 5 to 11,
from the turning of Willie's statue by witty engineers,
to the first Baker 13 run,
from the first time the mob took the field,
to the first graduate degree programs.
Rice has enjoyed a tradition of excellence enhanced by our commitment to unconventional wisdom.
Rice's dynamic student body, represented by nearly 200 student groups and organizations, consists of the top athletes, architects, musicians, journalists, writers, mathematicians, and scientists in the country.
From a student's perspective, our years on campus are the foundation for our future connection to the university, but we are only a tiny slice of Rice's rich history.
Each class not only experiences change, but also contributes to Rice's legacy.
In our roles as student body presidents, we have already seen many exciting advancements on campus, ranging from the creation of new doctoral programs to the remodeling of Coffee House, itself a student-run business.
Reflecting on these and a wide range of positive developments that have happened over the past 100 years, we can only imagine what the future holds.
We only know that for students, Rice will continue to be the university we know and love, a quirky, unparalleled institution that gives scholars the freedom to innovate and explore.
And as one united student body, we would like to take a moment to say, Happy 100th birthday, Rice University.
My name is David Frells, and I'm the chair of the Staff Advisory Committee. And I want to thank you all for being here with us to celebrate this great occasion. I am privileged to represent the 2,180 Rice staff members who support the academic mission of this fine university. We feel that Rice affords each of us the opportunity to contribute to the success of Rice. Looking back 100 years ago, it was a staff member, Tony Martino, who had the vision to plant the beautiful canopy of oaks we all enjoy. Today, staff members contribute to nearly every part of Rice. Some of us help bring to Rice the best students and faculty, and then help them achieve their best. Some of us keep our students safe, healthy, fit, and well-fed. Some of us manage the day-to-day operation of schools, departments, and centers, from handling complex budgets to seeing that everyone gets paid on time. Some of us operate the library for faculty and students. Some of us raise money for the academic priorities or maintain the connections with our wonderful alumni. Some of us see that our new buildings come in under budget and on time, and then we maintain those beautiful buildings in our campus for all to enjoy. Some of us provide transportation, postal services, or IT support. Some of us let Houston and the world know what is going on at Rice. Some of us provide educational opportunities for the Houston community. And some of us even write tickets for those of you who park illegally. All of us are proud to be a part of the centennial celebration and this great institution. We are proud Rice employees. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Peter Caldwell. I'm the Speaker of Faculty Senate. And in the name of the faculty, I greet you as we celebrate the centennial of Rice University. I would like to take this occasion to think for a moment about the hundreds of faculty, tenured and non-tenured track, who've come before us and have helped build this institution. We think of the great teachers. We think of the beloved teachers. We think of the teachers who are not beloved. We think of the hard teachers who helped us to raise the students to a higher level of achievement. We think of our great researchers already. The Nobel Prize recipients have been named, the members of the Academy of Arts and Sciences, of the National Academies, of International Academies, the recipients of Guggenheim's and Humboldt's and all the other prizes and awards. There's not enough time to even name them here. We think of the engineers and the physicists, the philosophers, the political scientists, the accountants, the professors of sociology, the professors of English, who have done so much to further human knowledge. And we think of the musicians and the artists and the authors who have contributed to this world's culture. I want to point out that these teachers and researchers have also helped to build this institution from the very start. They gave the Rice Institute its content. They were at the center of Rice's transformation from technical institute to research university. They were the ones to actually make the new departments real, to build new centers and programs as they continue to do today, reflecting new fields of thought. And they were also, lest we forget, at the center of building so many other aspects of the university, for example, the college system. We faculty today recognize the hundreds of faculty members who have come before us, who have worked with administration and with staff and with students to make of Rice University both a great research university and a place for teaching excellence. Please join me in thanking them for their hard work. And now it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Ivano Dionigi, Rector of the University of Bologna, the world's oldest university, to give greetings on behalf of our academic colleagues around the world. Professor Dionigi.
Dear President Leebron, distinguished colleagues, dear students, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to be here and a great honor to be able to address you on the occasion of this important anniversary. Exactly 100 years ago, in October 1912, my countryman, mathematician and Senator Vito Volterra, famous for the equations of predatory-prey dynamics, spoke at the inauguration of the Rice Institute. Volterra stressed the differences between old and new universities. He said, "Our universities have ancient and deep-reaching traditions. Every idea that has been developed in the fields of moral thought has been marked by the influence of these traditions. But you have created institutions ex nihilo, as if out of nothing, and all at once. And in your universities, everything can be made to meet the demands of the present, without ever being embarrassed by a single relic from the past. Of course, there are differences amongst universities, between Europe and the United States, between public and private universities, between smaller universities and larger ones. As there are differences between the many academic fields. Volterra was a mathematician and physicist. I am a humanist and towards a Latinist. But I am convinced that certain values of ideals do not belong only to the old or the two universities, do not belong only to the art sciences or the humanities. Rather, they cross every historical, geographical, or disciplinary boundaries. Please allow me to point out, ladies and gentlemen, what is, from my point of view, the deepest and most constant element which identifies and unifies all the universities of the world. They all are of the world, and not of this or that country, and not of this or that nationality. The same Latin word, universitas, means wholeness, wholeness of culture and knowledge. So, we can say that university represents the first model of cultural globalization. Old or young, humanists or scientists, we are all members of the same unique community. From the very beginning, in the 11th century, when the University of Bologna was founded, the first universities knew how to situate themselves inter nationes, amongst the nations, and about the borders of nations and countries. And we must remember that the university first put forth the principle that is clearly stated in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone has the right to the education. Education shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations. My fellow colleagues of Rice University, you have risen to President Lovett's original aspirations. Within just your first century, you have created a full-fledged university that rapidly ascended into the elite group of great global universities. Examples of your generation dissemination of knowledge as the discovery of C60 buckyballs, and the university's contributions to nanoscale science and technology. On behalf of the University of the World, ancient and modern, I congratulate you for your achievements, and I wish you the best for the next 100 and 900 years more.
Good morning. My name is Bob Clark, and I have the privilege of serving as the president of the Association of Rice Alumni this year, and it is my great honor to be here and to welcome all of you on behalf of the 2,500 or so alumni who have come to this celebration and all the others who have not come. It's a particularly special time for me because exactly 50 years ago, I was serving as Student Association President and had the opportunity to welcome all of the celebrants of the 50th anniversary of Rice's founding on behalf of the students. So I'm really proud to be able to do that this morning, and I hope there are at least a few of you out there saying, golly, he doesn't look that old. So Sangela, you have something to look forward to in 50 years if you play your cards right. The 50-year celebration at Rice reminds me of the banker who was receiving an award from his trade association and celebrating his 50th year as a banker. And they asked him as he was receiving his gold watch or his crystal bowl, what he thought the most important change was that had occurred in the 50 years that he'd been a banker. And without hesitation, he said, air conditioning. Now, those of us in the classes of the 60s and earlier can identify with what he had to say and might make the same response if we were asked to say what is the most important change that Rice has gone through in the last 50 years. And if you're having trouble envisioning that, just think of where you're sitting as being your room in one of the residential colleges. Since the time of the semi-centennial and the founding of the university, everything at Rice has continued to get better and better. The facilities, the outstanding faculty, the smart and very diverse students, and yes, even on most days, the food, are all world class. And importantly, the university and the Houston community have had a long-running love affair with each other. And in so many ways, that partnership has had a lot to do with Houston being the great city that it is today. It is generally well known that for the past 2 years, Rice students have been the #1 happiest students in any university in the country as measured by the Princeton Review. What is not so well known, because it is so recent, is that an independent review at 177 schools that focused on alumni happiness, success, and satisfaction with their education, Rice ranked #3 among the national universities. I think some of those unair-conditioned graduates must be responsible for pulling us down from #1. Happy students make for happy alumni, and we want to keep them that way. So the Association of Rice Alumni has a lot on its things to do list, and it is an exciting time to be involved. We have a fine new executive director in Carrie Brown, who has brought her sunny personality and lots of good ideas from Smith College, where she ran the alumni program for 15 years. The board has adopted an ambitious program for the year that includes a much more useful website that is consistent with the high quality of the university's communications and its brand. Assessment of the very popular Alumni College to see what improvements can be made. Expanding our contacts with alumni outside Houston, particularly our growing international alumni. For example, this year as part of the centennial celebration, over 1,300 participants have been involved, including over 100 that we had at our centennial celebration in Istanbul in June. We intend to continue to emphasize the recognition of the extraordinary achievements of Rice alumni in so many different fields of endeavor. And finally, we're making a strong effort to increase participation in the annual fund, not just to raise funds for university projects, but to cement in a tangible way the commitment of our alumni to the university. Since the university's founding, the 65,000 graduates who have passed through its doors have supported the university in so many ways. Many are tireless volunteers. Many more burnish the reputation of the university with their personal achievements and their leadership in academia, business, medicine, politics, science and engineering, and the arts. And when you look around the campus, you can see tangible evidence of the financial contributions made by alumni for outstanding facilities, many extraordinary art installations, and the expanded academic programs. All of us are so proud of what the university has been able to achieve in its first 100 years, and we look forward to supporting and participating in the next century of Rice's development. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for your expressions of encouragement and caring and excitement about Rice. As I was saying, an important moment in a university is the selection of a president. That's when you really have to define what your aspirations are. And I was mentioning that, can you imagine if the first board had not set out to find somebody like Edgar Odell Lovett, where would Rice be today? I first met David Leebron when I chaired the last presidential search. The search consultant that we used was having a hard time getting me in the door. And David later told me that had he known that the Rice founder was murdered by a New York lawyer, he never would have agreed to see me, fearing long overdue revenge. In the first meeting, I found out that David was an Eagle Scout, which I didn't know they had in Philadelphia. But that meant something to me because I had been one as well. When David came down for his first interview with the search committee, we all talked with him, and then he was dismissed, and I wanted to get everyone's reaction. We went around the table until finally Bob Curl, of course our brilliant Nobel laureate, said in his usual quiet way, "I think he may have been the smartest guy I ever met." To some on the committee, that trumped David's being an Eagle Scout. I've had my time with McKinsey, and afterward I've had time to observe many outstanding leaders in business but also in other areas. And in my view, David is among the very best. First, he has been exceptional in attracting and building a team. You know, if any of you think about, at random, just pick three administrative leaders, three administrative leaders, faculty leaders, and I think it would conclude that they're outstanding. It's an amazing group, and they work hard and well together. David inspires loyalty, trust, and commitment. Second, he is a great process leader. The call to conversation and vision for the second century were really amazing exercises characterized by inclusiveness, consensus building, lofty ambitions, and connecting with people inside and outside the hedges. And that vision has guided the university for the past 7 years. And third, you can't overestimate the level and value of David's humanity. People really care about him, and he cares about people. One great proof of this is Ping chose him to be her life partner. These are really critical attributes, but I think there's one more that I should mention. And to be a really great college president, you have to have a passion for the school and an emotional commitment to its success. And I think David at Ping began to develop that during the search process, and my feeling is that the progress has continued to progress ever since. David has built on the truly great advances in the university led by George Rupp and Malcolm Gillis, and thus he has prepared Rice for the second century, much like Lovett shaped the first. So join me in welcoming my great friend and colleague, the 7th president of Rice University, David Leebron.
Thank you, Jim. If I'd known what you were going to say, I would have let you finish the first time so that I and my mother could hear it twice. In the joy of high adventure, in the hope of high achievement, in the faith of high endeavor, for this fair day we have worked and prayed and waited. We have asked for strength, and with the strength a vision, and with the vision courage. The Rice Institute, which was to be, in this its modest beginning, now has come to be. And with these words, President Edgar Odell Lovett, 100 years ago, welcomed the first class of 59 men and women and the 10 faculty members of the Rice Institute. Today, we gather to celebrate the realization of that hope, the rewarding of that faith and courage, and the continuation of that joy. We join today to reflect on a century of adventure and achievement, to honor our founders and forebears whose vision and hard work resulted in the extraordinary university that we know today, and to speak of our vision and our ambitions for the future. Our path was set by the confluence of 3 extraordinary men, a great man of commerce, a civic leader, and a visionary academic. William Marsh Rice was the quintessential businessman of his time, a man of commercial acumen and philanthropic spirit. In the year 1891, the William Marsh Rice Institute for the Advancement of Literature, Science, and Art was formally incorporated with its modest endowment. After Rice's untimely death in 1900, which you heard about before, the substantial assets that Rice had bequeathed to his institute were rescued by his lawyer and the first chairman of the Board of Trustees, Captain James A. Baker. The trustees then began in earnest to define what this new institute would be. Their vision was reflected in the choice of Rice's first president, Edgar Odell Lovett, on the recommendation of Princeton's president, Woodrow Wilson. And let me add how fitting it is and how grateful we are that Princeton's current president, Shirley Tillman, is with us on the platform today. President Lovett then traveled the world for more than 9 months, visiting the great universities, studying both programs and architecture. When Lovett stood on this very spot a century ago, not far from the edge of a growing city with just 80,000 people, he could take pride at the launch of a new university that aspired to be among the best and said in his words, "No upper limit to its endeavors." As William Ward Watkin, the architect who supervised the construction of the first building, stated at Lovett's retirement, "Out of the marsh and swamps of this campus, he built a university of beauty and fineness." Imagine yourselves here as Lovett spoke. Around you was mostly a vast empty plain with 4 lonely structures. Between then and now lies a century of ambition and achievement. All around us we see the architectural embodiment of growing intellectual ambition. Imagine in your mind's eye that century of building our campus. First, beginning where you sit now and moving outward then to a second quadrangle and a third quadrangle, and then beyond, and even jumping across University Boulevard to where the Bioscience Research Collaborative sits now. Eventually 80 buildings over the course of a century, creating a campus of architectural distinction and harmony. The architecture is now complemented by recent campus art, culminating in our Centennial Pavilion, the Terrell Sky Space, which symbolizes not only our continued commitment to the beauty that Lovett emphasized, but also our limitless aspirations. Truly, this is a campus that reflects our commitment to learning, to discovery, to beauty, to the nurturing of human potential, and to a university that was, from its foundation, envisioned as a gift to the city of Houston. President Lovett served for another 34 years after the opening, with more than half that time occurring during 2 world wars and a Great Depression. And still, the Rice Institute moved forward, expanding its community and growing its endeavor. As we approached our second half-century, we changed our name from Institute to University to reflect that growth and ambition. At the time of our semi-centennial, Rice, while on a strong trajectory, had not yet achieved its aspirations to be among the great research universities of the world. That was the challenge faced by President Kenneth Pitzer as he was inaugurated in our 50th year. As the new president put it, he aimed for an institution that resembled Stanford without a medical school to a Westerner and Princeton with girls to an Easterner. President Pitzer led Rice into 5 decades of advancement as a research university. We realized that not charging tuition was not about a commitment to price, but a commitment to an ideal of opportunity that we should be open to all regardless of their financial means. That steadfast commitment continues to lie at the core of who we are. And we also sued to remove a stain of racial exclusion that was both fundamentally unfair and deeply inconsistent with the commitment to serve the people of Houston, of Texas, and the nation. As Rice continued its progress toward becoming a more balanced university envisioned by Lovett, new schools sprouted in the 1970s, including the Shepherd School of Music, the Jones School of Business, what is now the Glasscock School of Continuing Studies, and the creation of separate schools of social sciences and the humanities. Our ascendancy to the top ranks of American higher education was recognized in 1985 when Rice became one of the 60 elite research universities in the Association of American Universities. Great milestones included the G7 Summit in 1990, the establishment of the Baker Institute in 1993, and the awarding of Nobel Prizes to Professors Curl and Smalley in 1996 for the discovery of the buckyball, which opened up new possibilities in materials and medicine. And as you have heard already, in 2003, the Rice Owls emerged as the national champions in the College World Series. I said that because it always gets an applause. Today we count 46,000 living Rice alumni who form the global Rice community of today, a community that magnifies every day the contributions that we make as a university. Throughout our first century, we have become an ever greater university, driven to provide opportunity for our students and knowledge for our world. And here, like others, I want to pause and acknowledge the remarkable leaders present today who guided us to ascending achievement. Our past chairmen, Charles Duncan and Bill Barnett, our current chairman, Jim Crownover, who between them steered this university for the last 3 decades, and my extraordinary predecessors, Presidents George Rupp and Malcolm Gillis. When we look around the Rice of today, it is very different, of course, from that of 100 years ago, or 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago. We are larger, we are more diverse, we are more engaged with our city, we are more international, and we are more committed than ever to contributing to our world through research and service. The era of the ivory tower is long over. We do not come to the university to shake the cares of society, but to engage those cares in a different way. The university of today is porous, with a constant flow of people and ideas and contributions and relationships. We are very much the university that Lovett imagined and hoped for, and yet we are in many ways so much more. Today, our university is counted among the very best in the United States. Whereas President Lovett traveled around the world to visit the great universities, today we receive visiting academic leaders from across the globe who wish to study and emulate Rice's success. Much of our first century has been dedicated to catching up to our brethren, other leading American universities that in many cases are older, bigger, wealthier. We became more complex, added schools, improved the quality of our student body and faculty, raised our aspirations, and grew. But while we were becoming more competitive with other universities, and in some ways like them, we were also becoming quite distinctive. Even with our recent growth, we remain a distinctively small research university whose aspirations span the range of academic endeavor. Our sense of being a single community and the fostering of interdisciplinary relationships and conversations are rare. Our emphasis on and commitment to undergraduate education are extraordinary. Our college system, which creates strong communities across the undergraduate classes, has become the envy of others who seek to emulate it. The dedication of our staff to our faculty, students, and the university, and our dedication to them are defining attributes. As higher education becomes ever more competitive and faces ever more daunting challenges, we must now lead with confidence in our own values and our own identity as they have evolved over a century. Our strength as a university lies in part in choosing a different path from others, a different configuration for the university, not just of today, but of tomorrow. 20 years ago, Clark Kerr, the legendary president of the University of California and chancellor of Berkeley, wrote about 2 competing visions of the university. One in which the university is large and specialized in its parts, the other in which it is a small community with a commonality of interest, or as he put it, the best of Berkeley and the best of Swarthmore. And he expressed some pessimism that these visions were compatible. Rice has aspired to be the place where these visions become joined, compatible, and synergistic, and we have succeeded. We must draw upon our strengths and turn perceived disadvantages into distinctive advantages. We can be, we must be, a leader in defining what a university can achieve and contribute in education and knowledge. "50 years ago, President Pitzer undertook a substantial expansion of the university. We have now completed the first major expansion of our student body since then. Our 30% growth has been by every measure a success. We have remained true to our commitment to make our education affordable and have attracted an extraordinary and diverse population along every dimension as our applications have doubled. We do not, however, intend to grow our undergraduate student body more in the coming decade because we choose to remain a distinctively small university. Our size fosters an intimate sense of community and the special relationships between faculty and students that have defined the experience for so many of our graduates. Our intellectual ambitions, however, are not scaled to our size. We aim for excellence and impact on a global standard. Thus, our path to success, more than most universities, lies in our ability to collaborate with others and thereby leverage our potential. We are too small to be arrogant. We must in time find new ways to build deeper and broader relationships with the remarkable institutions that surround us, the museums, the medical institutions, the Johnson Space Center, and the great enterprises of Houston. We must also reach across the world and build not merely bridges, but strong and deep bonds. That spirit of collaboration must be focused internally as well as externally. Our success in areas like nanotechnology is built not upon the endeavors of a single department, but upon the support, engagement, and connection across a large swath of the university. We must infuse this collaborative spirit deep into our processes and personality if we are to continue our success. Ossified structures that impede our collaboration must be adapted or swept away, and we must be innovative in developing these new relationships. Our size is an advantage when it allows us to be both collaborative in spirit and nimble in action. In the arts, biomedicine, neuroscience, and other endeavors, we have extraordinary potential, but only if we seize the opportunities that exist through deeper engagement. I believe our university's personality reflects not only our history, but also our location. We have renewed our sense of commitment and connection to our home city of Houston, both as students experience it and our researchers contribute to it. Even a century ago, President Lovett realized that Houston partakes of both the warm hospitality of the South and the dynamic and adventurous spirit of the West. Houston is an entrepreneurial city, and we are an entrepreneurial university. That spirit, which has some of its origins in our early strength in engineering, now finds place in every corner of our university. The entrepreneurial imperative incorporates the desire to lead, to create, to innovate, and to build. It is reflected in faculty who lead our students abroad to test in the field medical devices they have designed, in the student-taught courses in our colleges, in the policy explorations of our Baker Student Fellows, in engineering and architecture students getting together to design a house that not only uses zero energy, but is actually affordable. In the creation and dissemination of digital materials for both college and now 1 million K-12 students. In building a research consortium with medical institutions to advance tissue regeneration that will save limbs and lives. In creating a multitude of student organizations from Engineers Without Borders to our emergency medical service. In the convening of experts to study biblical texts and to disseminate the results, and so much more. We must nurture and support that spirit both individually and collectively among our students and our faculty. President Lovett spoke of the pleasures of teaching and the privileges of research. But today, we must do that and more. An entrepreneurial university empowers our students and embarks them on a life of difference and impact regardless of their chosen disciplines and professions. I want for a moment to speak more broadly about the role of the university and how it ought to define our mission at Rice and our path forward. It has been 2,500 years since the founding of Plato's Academy, 2,000 years since the founding of the ancient religious universities in India and Egypt, more than 900, as you have heard, since the founding of the University of Bologna, now the oldest university in continuous existence, and almost 380 years since the establishment of the first American institution of higher education. The modern research university emerged in the 19th century and set the stage for the explosion of knowledge that universities have produced. When we look back on the last century, we see knowledge that has emerged from our universities and transformed our world. The fundamental structure of matter, the building blocks of life, the electronics that have revolutionized our ability to communicate, connect, analyze, and understand. The early embers of the great ideas of our age, such as universal rights, were fanned in the great universities. Powerful ideals, such as equality of opportunity, were given content and understanding by the work done in universities, and our graduates were inspired to pursue them. There is hardly an aspect of modern life that has not been greatly influenced and enhanced by the work done in universities. And yet, at the beginning of this third millennium, the historic idea of the university is facing both challenge and attack. The very word university embodies a sense of both oneness and universality, that we are a single entity that encompasses the totality of academic endeavor. As resources are constrained, there are calls to focus our endeavors, to limit ourselves to what we already do well. Great universities many times our size, are choosing to eliminate scholarly endeavors, to focus on their specific strengths, to do what is practical. There is no doubt that we, like they, must focus and be strategic. But I believe that we must do so in a different way. We must seize upon those truly important endeavors that require us to bring together participants from across our campus to work together, to understand our world more deeply, and to help solve its problems of today and in the future. Our strength lies significantly in our ability to draw upon and integrate different disciplines and perspectives as we seek to contribute in pursuance of our mission to the betterment of our world. We know that technology alone does not solve problems, but rather science and technology complemented by a comprehensive understanding of how to achieve innovation and change in the context of human culture and institutions. President Lovett spoke of the faith he asked of those assembled at the first matriculation. He said, they must believe in the value of human reason. They must be enthusiastic for their fellow men. They must believe that it is possible to learn and also that it is possible to teach. I believe that universities are built upon an additional faith, a faith in the power of knowledge and discovery and creativity to improve the lives of people everywhere and build a better future. That faith must be buttressed by a recognition that universities remain distinctive institutions that contribute to our society in ways no other institutions can or do. Our commitment must be to advance the frontiers of knowledge, understanding, and creativity, and to produce graduates trained and inspired to make great contributions as if the world depended upon it, for it surely does. The challenges of our world lie before us. To address our interconnected global needs for food, energy, water, and a safe environment, to improve human health here and around the world, to harness the extraordinary flow of information for our benefit through better understanding and decision-making, to raise the human spirit through the study of culture and creativity, and to bring peace and prosperity to the peoples of our planet. These are large and daunting challenges, but that ultimately is what universities are for. Confronted by these challenges, universities must not be bastions of cynicism, but citadels of optimism. Optimism that if we work to understand the nature of religious tolerance, we can bring harmony. That if we work to understand conflict between nations, we can bring peace. That if we work to understand the origins of disease, we can bring health. That if we work to understand the sources of famine, we can bring nourishment. And that if we work to understand the fundamentals of matter and energy, we can bring a prosperity and a higher standard of life to people all over the world. Like other great universities, Rice must be cosmopolitan and international in their truest sense. We embrace a community of faculty, staff, and students who come from all over the world. While committed to a strong, supportive, and deep relationship with our great city, our ambitions to learn and contribute reach beyond the borders of our state and our country. Our commitment is to all humanity, and we seek the advancement of knowledge for their benefit. And yet, at the same time, we are a distinctively American university steeped in American ideals. Ideals of human equality and potential, of political rights and participation, of free inquiry and free expression, of religious freedom and tolerance, of diversity and inclusion, of creativity and innovation, and of the possibilities of hard work and economic opportunity. These ideals are reflected deeply, not merely in the values we convey, but in how we choose to carry out our mission. Universities have been and remain unusual institutions. We are separate and apart, and yet open and engaged. The periphery of our campus, consisting of hedges and vegetation punctured frequently by paths and open gates, incorporates this idea. It is an avowedly porous border and not a barrier that both separates us from the surrounding city and yet welcomes those who wish to enjoy our contemplative spaces and intellectual engagements, as it also beckons the Rice community to engage with and contribute to our city. In our rapidly changing world, and recognizing that the knowledge we generate can sometimes be quickly developed for the benefit of others, universities must change some of their ways and be prepared to act with urgency. That is not something we are traditionally known for. Indeed, it is fair to say that we are known for our slowness. But universities at their best are both fast and slow. That slowness, that willingness to put reflection and analysis and deep understanding above achieving quick conclusions or results is an essential part of our ability to contribute in ways that are different and important. Our defining commitment to fundamental research, research that over the centuries has proven its worth, depends on patience and on that faith that the expansion of understanding leads to unforeseen benefits to mankind. We take, for example, immense pride in the role that Rice played in putting men into space. But the voyage to the moon did not begin with a historic speech in Rice Stadium. It started with Copernicus and Kepler and Galileo and Newton. The lesson of putting a man on the moon is not only that a focused and concentrated effort involving government and universities and industry can achieve remarkable progress, but that centuries of inspiring teaching and curiosity-driven research can make possible things that could not even have been imagined. These dichotomies challenge us to be separate and apart, yet open and engaged, to be fast and yet also to be slow, to embrace an unthrottled cosmopolitanism and still be distinctively American. And yet these are the attributes that make the modern university a vital and irreplaceable contributor to human society. The ivory tower image of the university has been replaced by our shimmering beacon on Main Street, but we must retain our unusual qualities and commitments if we are to contribute in the century ahead as we have in the past. We must make no mistake, though. We are in disruptive times for higher education. Our most basic concept of the university as a defined space that brings teachers and students into physical proximity is in the process of being upended. We now have more students registered for Rice online courses than graduates over our entire century. Not since the invention of the printing press has the dissemination of knowledge been so changed as in the last quarter century, or as it will be again in the decades ahead. These changes have the potential to undermine the sense of community that has been a hallmark of our colleges and universities, and of Rice in particular. But if we embrace these challenges and changes and determine how they can be used to enhance the strengths of the physical university while extending some of its benefits to a virtual global community, Rice will seize a new opportunity to lead as we enter our next century. We must embark upon a reimagining of university education in ways that take advantage of new technologies of learning while increasing our commitment here on campus to the personal relationship between teacher and student. We must dedicate ourselves anew to our teaching mission and yet be guided by the ancient Confucian understanding of education. Tell me, and I will forget. Show me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will understand. More than ever, we will seize the opportunity to involve our students and become more effective teachers. As we commemorate our first century today, it is not easy to imagine what lies ahead for our second. Think of the circumstances and undiscerned future as President Lovett spoke a century ago. Mass production of the automobile was a new phenomenon, and the first commercial flight was just a year away. The sun never set on the British Empire, and World War I lay around the corner. Oil had been discovered in Texas a decade earlier, but no one knew what that would mean for our city or our world. And Houston's first air conditioning, dare I say, was still a decade away. We have every reason to expect that the political, societal, and technological changes over the next century will be just as dramatic as the last, if indeed not more so. We cannot now see those changes. What we can commit to and what we can believe in is the power of the university, of our university, of Rice University, to make a better future through teaching and learning and discovering and creating. A century ago, a group of students, faculty, university staff, and citizens of Houston sat just where you sit now, probably just as hot and uncomfortable as you are now, to witness the launching of the first institution of higher education in the city of Houston. Rice set forth with a vision of greatness, with a commitment to both importance and excellence, but with little objective reason to believe that such a new university could really join the great universities of America. And yet, this endeavor was begun and sustained with confidence and commitment, with optimism and faith, even in the darkest and most difficult of times. As we enter our second century, we do so with no less confidence, no less commitment, no less optimism, and no less willingness to work hard to achieve our highest aspirations. We are already more than President Lovett imagined. Today we embark upon the course that will lead us to be ever so much more than we might even be able to imagine today. 50 years ago, President Kennedy said at Rice that we must above all be bold if we were to achieve the ambition of putting a man on the moon. As we enter our second century and face the opportunities ahead, we must be bold. We must be entrepreneurial. We must be collaborative. We must be fast and slow. We must be international and yet distinctively American. We must be the great research university that preserved its dedication to its students. We must be Rice. I thank you, and my mother thanks you. Would you now please stand and join in the singing of For Rice's Honor, the words of which are printed in your program.
Thank you.